Ethan Cole stood on the bridge of the human starship Aurora, staring out at the endless black of space. Before him lay the Zetherian homeworld, a planet with swirling green clouds and shimmering silver oceans, unlike anything humans had ever seen. He had spent years preparing for this mission, studying Zetherian culture, history, and language, and yet nothing could have truly prepared him for what awaited. The Zetherians were an advanced race, proud and powerful. Their cities rose like mountains of crystal, and their ships moved with a grace that defied physics. They were respected and feared across the galaxy. And now Ethan, a simple human diplomat and former soldier, was to negotiate peace with them. "Ethan," his captain said, interrupting his thoughts, "remember, the Queen is not like any other alien leader. She is wise, strong, and cautious." "Your words must be precise," Ethan nodded. "I understand. I won't fail." The human shuttle descended slowly through Zetherian skies. As it landed on a polished platform, Ethan could see the Queen herself approaching. Veyara moved with elegance, her tall frame and golden eyes radiating authority. Her presence alone commanded respect. "You are Ethan Cole," she said, her voice soft but firm. "I have heard of your deeds among your people. You are brave yet cautious. That is a good start." Ethan bowed slightly. "Your Majesty, it is an honor to meet you. I come to discuss peace between our worlds." Veyara nodded, then paused. "Peace is fragile. Humans and Zetherians have fought before. You propose words to stop what our ancestors could not. How do I know your people are worthy of trust?" Ethan took a deep breath. "I understand your doubts. That is why I am here, not just as a diplomat, but as proof that humans can stand for honor and peace." For hours they discussed treaties, trade, and borders. But then Veyara leaned forward, her golden eyes locking with his. "I propose something unusual. To secure peace, I will marry a human." Ethan blinked. "Marry me?" "Yes," she said simply. "It is symbolic, a bond between our species to show unity. It is also a test. If you are worthy, it will strengthen peace. If not..." She did not finish the sentence, but the meaning was clear. Ethan felt a mix of shock and responsibility. Marrying the Queen was far beyond anything he had imagined. It was more than diplomacy. It was a pledge of loyalty, honor, and courage. And he accepted. The ceremony was unlike anything Ethan had ever seen. Zetherian rituals honored strength, intelligence, and heart. Ethan had to prove himself through trials of skill, patience, and strategy. Each challenge tested him in ways humans had never been tested before. He learned to navigate Zetherian mind games where words were as dangerous as weapons. He learned their combat forms where a single misstep could be fatal. He learned patience, restraint, and cleverness. And through it all, Veyara observed him, her expression unreadable. After the final trial, Veyara spoke. "You have shown courage, intelligence, and respect. You are worthy." The wedding itself was a spectacle of light and sound. Zetherian nobles watched with admiration and curiosity as a human took a place beside their queen. Ethan felt a surge of pride, but he also felt a weight. The peace of two worlds rested on his shoulders. In the following days, Ethan tried to learn Zetherian ways more deeply. He walked their crystal streets, studied their technology, and spoke with their citizens. He discovered that, despite their strength, Zetherians were not invincible. They had fears, doubts, and divisions, just like humans. One evening, while walking through the royal gardens with Veyara, Ethan noticed tension in her eyes. "Something troubles you," he said. Veyara sighed. "There are factions among my people who resent humans. They see you as weak, as an outsider. Some plot against me, against peace itself." Ethan frowned. "Then we must be careful. We cannot let their hatred destroy what we have built." "Yes," she said, "but caution alone may not be enough." The warning proved true sooner than expected. During a ceremonial event in the Queen's palace, a group of rebels attacked. They came with weapons unknown to humans, and their numbers were large. The palace guard struggled to hold them back. Without thinking, Ethan leapt into action. His training as a soldier took over. He dodged plasma blasts, disarmed attackers, and used his surroundings to turn the tide of the battle. Humans were unpredictable, and the rebels were not prepared for his ingenuity. Veyara fought alongside him, amazed at his skill and courage. "You fight like no human I have known," she said as they cleared a corridor of enemies. Ethan did not answer. He was focused on survival, on protecting the Queen, and on saving the palace. By the time the attack ended, many rebels were captured and the palace was safe. But the scars of the attack were clear. That night, in the quiet of her private chambers, Vieira looked at Ethan. "I married you for peace, but I see now that you are more than a diplomat. You are a warrior, like a god among men." Ethan shook his head. "I am only human. I do what I must." Vieira smiled faintly. "Perhaps that is why your people are so remarkable. Your strength is not just in your body or weapons, but in your heart, your mind, your courage." In the days that followed, tensions in the kingdom grew. Some Zitharians accepted Ethan, seeing the value of humans in war and peace. Others whispered, plotting, their jealousy and fear growing. Ethan and Vieira worked tirelessly to strengthen alliances, improve defenses, and teach mutual respect between their peoples. Yet Ethan sensed something more. The attack was not random, it was a message. The war he had hoped to prevent might be coming anyway, and when it did, he knew he would have to fight not just with weapons, but with every ounce of human courage, skill, and ingenuity he possessed. As he looked up at the stars that night, Ethan felt the weight of the future on his shoulders. Peace was fragile. The queen he married was strong, but even she could not foresee every danger. Humans had a reputation for being weaker than other species, but in that moment Ethan felt something different. He felt human strength, human resilience, and a spark of something greater. Whatever the galaxy threw at them next, he would stand. He would fight. And somehow he knew that humans, his people, were destined to play a role no one, not even the Zitharians, could have predicted. The first part of the journey had ended. Peace had been forged, but shadows loomed on the horizon. And Ethan Cole, human diplomat and newlywed of the alien queen, was ready to face whatever came next. The calm of the Zitharian capital had not lasted long. Weeks after the attempted palace attack, intelligence reports confirmed what Ethan and Queen Vieira had feared. A full-scale rebellion was forming. Rebel Zitharian factions, enraged by the alliance with humans, were joining forces with rogue mercenaries from nearby star systems. War was no longer a threat, it was inevitable. Ethan stood on the balcony of the palace, looking down at the city below. Ships streaked through the sky, preparing for the worst. He could hear the tension in the queen's voice as she approached. "They plan to strike the northern cities first," Vieira said. "If they succeed, they could destabilize the entire system." Ethan nodded. "Then we strike first. We can't let them choose the battlefield. Humans are unpredictable. Our advantage is that we think differently. We must use that." Vieira studied him, her golden eyes reflecting the city lights. "You fight like no one else. I trust your judgment." Together they summoned the leaders of human and Zitharian forces. Ethan proposed a daring strategy, a coordinated defense that would use human ingenuity, Zitharian strength, and unpredictable tactics to confuse the enemy. The generals were skeptical but agreed. The first battle came swiftly. Rebel ships descended on the northern cities, their weapons blazing. Ethan's forces waited in concealed positions using decoys and rapid maneuvers. When the rebels advanced too far, human pilots struck from unexpected angles, while Zitharian warriors, guided by Ethan's strategies, ambushed them on the ground. Ethan himself led a strike team. He moved with precision, combining his human combat skills with Zitharian technology. Plasma rifles hummed in his hands, energy shields deflected enemy fire, and every move seemed instinctively perfect. He leapt across rooftops, outsmarted enemy squads, and even turned traps set for his team against the attackers. On the battlefield, Zitharians whispered among themselves, "How can one human fight like this?" "He moves like a god," they said, their voices full of awe. By the end of the day, the rebels were forced to retreat. The northern cities were safe, but Ethan knew the war had only begun. Back at the palace, Vieira met him in the strategy room. "You inspire them," she said quietly. "Your people, your courage. It changes everything." Ethan smiled faintly. "We all fight for something. You fight for your people. I fight to protect you and the peace we made. That is all." The following weeks were filled with battles across the system. Ethan adapted to each new challenge, using human creativity to overcome Zitharian rules of warfare. He built clever defenses, devised unexpected attack plans, and even trained mixed teams of humans and Zitharians to work together seamlessly. In one decisive battle, the rebels attempted to capture a vital energy station on the moon of Zitharia. The station controlled power for several key cities. If it fell, chaos would spread, Ethan personally led the counterattack. Using stealth ships, he infiltrated the station while the main force created diversions. Inside, he encountered the rebel leader, a Zetherian general known for his ruthlessness. "You are just a human," the general sneered. "You cannot stop me." Ethan didn't respond. He relied on speed, intelligence, and agility. The two clashed in a furious duel, energy blades sparking against one another. The human fought with a mix of cunning and courage that the Zetherian could not anticipate. With a final maneuver, Ethan disarmed the general and secured the station, turning the battle in their favor. Word of Ethan's deeds spread quickly among both humans and Zetherians. Soldiers cheered him as a hero, and even skeptics began to believe in the power of humans. Meanwhile, Veyara continued to rule with wisdom and courage, inspired by Ethan's example. Together they became a symbol of unity and hope. The Queen saw that humans were not just survivors. They were innovators, warriors, and partners capable of changing the fate of entire civilizations. As the war raged on, Ethan and Veyara fought side by side. They shared strategy, courage, and trust. Zetherians who once doubted humans now followed Ethan without question. Human soldiers gained confidence, knowing that their creativity and adaptability could make a difference even against a more advanced enemy. The final confrontation came in the heart of the capital. Rebel forces launched an enormous assault, aiming to capture the palace and overthrow Veyara. Ethan and the Queen prepared a defense unlike any before. Ethan's plan involved using human unpredictability to counter the rebels' technological superiority. He set traps, created false targets, and led small teams in swift, precise strikes that disoriented the enemy. In the chaos, he moved like a force of nature, protecting the Queen and coordinating the defense with unmatched skill. At the climax of the battle, Ethan faced the main rebel commander, a massive Zetherian who wielded a blade capable of cutting through armor. The duel was intense. Sparks flew. Energy shields flared, and the ground shook from their power. Yet Ethan's cunning and speed gave him the advantage. With one final move, he disarmed the commander and ended the threat. The rebel forces, seeing their leader defeated and their plans foiled, surrendered. Peace had been won, but it was not just the Queen's wisdom that had saved Zetheria. It was the courage, intelligence, and humanity of one man. In the aftermath, Ethan stood with Veyara on the palace balcony, watching the sun rise over the cities. The war had ended and a new era had begun. Humans and Zetherians were no longer distant allies, they were partners. "You were right," Veyara said softly. "Humans are remarkable. Your people have the strength to face gods and the courage to change the galaxy." Ethan shook his head. "I am only one human, but together we can do anything." The Queen smiled, resting her hand on his. "Yes. Together, we are stronger than anything the universe can throw at us." From that day forward, the story of Ethan Cole, the human who married an alien queen and fought like a god, spread across the stars. Humans were no longer seen as weak or simple. They were a force to be reckoned with, capable of courage, wisdom, and heroism beyond imagination. And though wars might come again, the bond between human and Zetherian, forged in courage, trust, and love, would stand as a beacon of hope for all civilizations. Ethan and Veyara had not only secured peace, they had shown the galaxy the true power of humans, the power to rise, to inspire, and to triumph against all odds.